Here at Paddy Power, we're the home of the Money Back Special, with some incredible offers every single week. Check out the website or app today. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus begambleaware.org.
Hi there, thanks for joining us for the Racing Post Football Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington and I'm delighted to be joined by Mark Langdon and Dan Childs from the Racing Post Football Desk, and also Paddy Power, Sam Kingston. Right, the season is coming towards the business end. So many questions to be answered over the next few weeks. Really fascinating stuff. There's so much to get through. We've got live Premier League football all through the weekend, and then of course next week, 2 mouth-watering Champions League semi-finals. So we will bring you all the best bets from the top flight, from the Champions League, and we will also look further down the leagues for all the value. We won't do 6 questions. I will just ask you, lads, have you seen the PFA Team of the Year yet?
Yeah, one thing.
How many changes would you make? Dan?
Well, the one thing that stood out was Paul Pogba being in there, so that'd be the... I've not actually seen all of the rest of that, just leapt out at me.
It's unbelievable.
I couldn't believe it, yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable. That.
He played well, didn't he? Just in that little, probably, spell when they picked the team, I assume.
But are they so stupid, these footballers, that they can't remember back to like August or imagine a whole season?
Well, Michael Owen was talking about this on BT actually at the weekend. He said, like, what usually happens is the captain goes around and gives you this form to fill out, and so you'll be sat in the training centre or whatever, and then someone from marketing comes over and says, oh, you got to sign this, and then there'll be, oh, you got to go and do 2 TV interviews. The masseuse will say you need a massage, and then it's time for training, and then like you just write it. You literally spend sort of 90 seconds. I see Raheem Sterling though thought about his choice, didn't he? Because he didn't pick Virgil van Dijk. He went for Harry Kane, Player of the Year.
Yeah, that was tough.
So I'm quite glad that Van Dijk beat him, because I think he should play fair.
Yeah, I guess so. Who would you have changed, Mark?
People have said that Hazard and Son are unlucky not to be in, but I can fully understand why they're not, given the positions that they play. So I think that the one standout for me was also the Pogba one, and that there's quite a few. I mean, you could go around and just pick anyone really. And if you went to Arsenal, you could say Aaron Ramsey. If you went to Tottenham, you could say Sissoko. If you went to
Palace, you'd say Wan-Bissaka.
In central midfield. You could probably say Luca in central midfield.
I do think Wan-Bissaka's hard done, but I mean, how he's not on the 6-man shortlist for young players.
Yeah, I mean,
it just shows that it's voted by people who don't spend enough time.
No, Coutinho in there as a midfield. If you put,
Coutinho's been excellent for Wolves, I think.
It's funny though, because occasionally you will see, like Bertrand got in a few years ago, so you think they are actually thinking about it. But then other times, I just don't get it at all. Did you know, Sam, that Dennis Bergkamp has only been in the PFA Team this season once? Do you find that amazing as an Arsenal fan?
Yeah, I had heard that before actually. Yeah,
amazing,
it is quite amazing. Especially considering a lot of Arsenal fans would see him as their best ever player, and only once in the Team of the Year.
Absolutely. Yeah. Would you have made any changes to that team, do you think?
Yeah, I would have. Pogba's the obvious one. I'd have taken him out. David Silva, I think, would have been the one. That makes a 3-man City midfield. I would have had him in, and I think as an Irishman, I think Matt Doherty was a little bit unfortunate to be left out.
I've heard a few people say that. The right back area is quite competitive, but I mean, I'll stand by my boy Wan-Bissaka. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. Anyway, that's the team of the season. It's not going to win you any money on that, so we will look ahead to hopefully some matches that will, and we'll start with the Friday night live game, 8 p.m. at Anfield. It's Liverpool versus Huddersfield. It could be the most one-sided game of all time, who knows? Before we get the match odds, just bring us up to date, Sam, with Paddy Power's latest on the Premier League after last night's Manchester derby.
Yeah, so Man City came in from 8 to 11 into 1 to 4 after last night, and Liverpool have gone out to 13 to 5 now.
Okay, and quick word on the title before we get into this game, Mark. All over?
I mean, I never sort of completely rule it out. I mean, it's only one draw needed, but I mean, it's unlikely now. I think that was the biggest handicap left.
Do you think they were going to struggle in the end last night? Or?
I thought they struggled for the first half an hour. United showed good enthusiasm, but once City got on top, that last little bit before half time, you've kind of seen that film before with City. When they do get on top of you, it's very difficult to knock them off their rhythm, and it was quite comfortable 2-0 in the end.
Anyway, back for the Scousers, Dan?
I think the shifts, I've always fancied City to win it, but I think the shift in the price is a little bit too much. I think there's 2 tricky games to come. The Burnley one, simply because it comes off the back of such a busy spell. Spurs again, Man United, it could just be a little bit off it few doubts over Fernandinho, and we get onto the game obviously later.
Yeah.
And the Leicester game's a bit.
Brendan
of
Rodgers will be
and
a favour, won't he?
And they are a good team, a little bit like Wolves against. They do better against big teams counter-attack.
You say that though. I mean, Wolves obviously go to Anfield, and I mean that's absolutely no gimme, is it?
No, it's not.
Liverpool.
It's not. Okay, then Sam, how do you bet then Liverpool versus Huddersfield? I should think Liverpool are just about favs here, aren't they?
It could be the most one-sided game of all time. 1-16 we have Liverpool, 13-1 the draw, and 35-1 Huddersfield.
35-1 Huddersfield. Question of how much, really, Mark? So how much?
Yeah, well, I think the interesting thing here is the goal difference could yet play a part, because if Man City lose a game, then Liverpool could draw one and win it. So I think this is
What is the difference at the moment between them? Go on, you carry on while I
think it's
5.
Yeah, I thought 6, but I checked it before last night. I think it's about 6. I think. Anyway, Liverpool are I think going to just keep their sort of foot on the pedal here and really try to get that back, because it's a great opportunity.
Actually 8.
Oh, it was 6 before the
8
Man
to
City.
Man
But I
City,
mean, if you can, obviously that means City, for the goal difference to play a part, City have got to slip up somewhere. So that's at least 1 goal back, and I think that this is a good opportunity. The handicap's at 3.5 goals. I mean, I think I'd rather back Liverpool than Huddersfield on that. But instead, I'm just going to play a couple of correct scores: 4-0 and 5-0. That's the score Huddersfield have lost at Tottenham and Chelsea recently. They gave up a long time ago. He's dropped all of the Danish players. Something's gone on there. Even Moy didn't play at Tottenham. I didn't.
No, he's not picking anyone who's not going to be there next season.
Yeah, I mean,
Haim is in goal.
Yes.
It's absolutely awful, isn't
just
it?
surprised then that he's picking himself, because I'm not sure he's going to be there next season. The way it's going, I mean, Huddersfield are they're in games, but they're just terrible in both boxes. So Liverpool 4-0, 5-0.
Dan?
Yeah, I've got a very similar angle. I do think they'll look at this as a chance to really boost the goal difference. I think that there's a lot of people saying about will they rest quite a few players, but it's Friday to Wednesday. I mean, there's enough of a gap there, I think, and I'd go even a little bit stronger. Liverpool 5-0, Liverpool 6-0. And on the Huddersfield angle, I mean, I watched the game against Spurs, and Spurs made quite a few changes for that game. It's a pretty ropey Spurs team that was selected, and they still won 4-0 really at a canter. I mean, if an understrength Spurs team can beat them 4-0 easily, what could a really fired up Liverpool side, looking for a goal difference boost do?
Yeah, it could get very messy, this, couldn't it, Sam? What's your view?
I'd have to agree with the lads. It could be any score, really. I've found a few markets very tough to find value when you've a 1-16 shot, bar the correct score markets. But I found 1 or 2 that I have liked. And anytime correct score 3-0 for Liverpool is 10-11. I think it could be 3-0. So it's just got to get to 3-0 at some point? Just 3-0 at any point in the game, yeah. So 10-11, I think there's worse 10-11 shots out there. And then I like half-time anytime correct score is 2-0. That's at 11-10. So slight odds against there, I think. If you're looking for an odds against in this one, I think that's a decent one.
Oh, I love that. Anytime 3-0, 10-11.
Yeah.
Blimey. Is that a thing, anytime score? Do you do it for every game now?
We do it for the big ones, so the Premier League, Champions League, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, let's get stuck into Saturday's games next.
Right, 10 seconds to promote Paddy Power Games. Paddy Power Games, Paddy Power Games, Paddy Power Games. Advertising. It's easy when you know how. Paddy Power. Enough of the nonsense. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Okay, welcome back at 12:30 on Saturday. Tottenham's quest to sew up a Champions League spot for next season continues with the visit to the lovely new lane of West Ham United. It's live on Sky Sports. And Sam, how do Paddy Power bet?
We have Spurs 4-11, the draw 4-1, and West Ham at 6-1.
Okay, this is West Ham's cup final, Dan, isn't it? They always get very up for it. Could you see them being a bit of a pain in the arse?
Yeah, I could. I think the game obviously comes before the Ajax match for Spurs, so I certainly wouldn't be throwing Tottenham at 4-11 into an ACCA basket this week. Wouldn't be totally shocked if West Ham nicked a draw, but Spurs at the new stadium, they have had a good start there, 4 wins, haven't conceded a goal yet. I do get the feeling they might just get over the line. It's a big incentive as well. They could this weekend actually seal a top 4 place if other results go their way as well. So I think they might just get over the line here, even if there's a few changes. So I've looked at the angle of Spurs to win by 1 goal at 13-5. I thought that was a decent bet.
Okay. Sam, I thought West Ham were really good at Man United, but then that just might have been Man United being pathetic. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I think it was. They were so poor against Everton as well, West Ham. They've only scored 2 in their last 6 away games, so we do have a money back special, which I think we're taking a bit of a risk on with Spurs to win to 0. I see there being goals. I've gone for Spurs win and 3 or 4 total goals. I just see Spurs putting a few past West Ham. West Ham might grab one, but if not, I think Spurs will take them 3 or 4-0.
3 or 4-0, blimey, that's very optimistic. Do you share that view, Mark?
No, I don't. I mean, I thought we saw against Brighton really what you can do to Tottenham if Harry Kane's not around, because Son and Lucas want to play on the counter-attack into space, and sort of playing against a team that's wide open suits them, maybe a Man City more than a Brighton. And I think if West Ham go there and do a similar job, they're capable here of maybe causing an upset. But I was looking at the +1.5 on the handicap. Tottenham only won 3 of their last 9 matches at home to West Ham. Only one of those was by more than 1 goal. So West Ham, it is a thing that West Ham give this everything. They've scored on their last 8 visits to Tottenham. So that's the old White Hart Lane and Wembley. So even there's a big golfing class between the two. It's a pretty good record West Ham have got, and it's the one game where the fans just won't accept them sort of chucking one in, as they are capable of doing away from home. So I think they'll be very competitive. And this Ajax game on Tuesday, I mean, it must be on the mind of Mauricio Pochettino. They're 1-25 to finish in the top 4. So, I mean, it's not absolutely must win. And, I do think Tuesday, biggest game in a generation, isn't it?
It certainly is. And these two Tottenham fans to my left, you can sense their tension already. OK, let's spin through the 4 non-televised Premier League games taking place at 3 p.m. on Saturday. I'll read Paddy Power's prices out and the boys will tell us what they think. We'll start at Selhurst Park. It's 8-5 Palace, 13-8 Everton and 23-10 the draw. Sam, what's going to happen here?
I've gone for an Everton win. I know I never tip up Palace on the podcast. I think Everton have been really brilliant recently. They've won at home to Arsenal, United and Chelsea. They were brilliant away to West Ham, and I think that Fulham game that they lost was a bit of a blip. Palace do seem to be better away from home as well. They've lost 3 of their last 4 at home and only beating Huddersfield. So I've gone for an Everton win here. That's a 13-8. Slight outsiders here.
OK, Mark?
Really difficult game, 2 inconsistent teams. I was looking at Seamus Coleman, Paddy Power not up yet with there to be booked prices, but I saw another bookmaker was going 9-2, and I think that's a little bit big for anybody against Zaha. Of course, right back Coleman, he was booked. He doesn't get booked very often, but he was booked in the reverse fixture for a foul on Zaha.
OK, and Dan?
Yeah, Everton struggle away from home. Palace struggle at home. Both had great results last time out, but that's where they want to be. Everton at Goodison, Palace, at the Emirates were excellent. But given how their form away and at home is so ropey, I'll go for a draw here at 23-10.
Okay, I would say Palace with Benteke back. I thought Benteke was brilliant against Arsenal. Would you agree with that, Sam? I thought he had a really good game there, and I think Benteke could make all the difference. Not rubbing it in there, Sam. I was just trying to get your professional view there, mate.
Yeah, no, he was good. All right, he's a handful for our defence anyway.
Okay, Sam can ungrit his teeth now and tell us what he fancies in Fulham versus Cardiff. It's 13-10 Fulham, 5-2 the draw, and 9-5 Cardiff.
I think this might be the end of Cardiff. I've gone for under 2.5 goals. It's slightly odds against at 11-10. Both teams they concede an awful lot and they don't score many goals. So I'm just not sure where the goals are going to come from in this game. So under 2.5. I'd slightly fancy Fulham if I was to pick a winner, but I'd be back in the goal line under 2.5 here.
Wasn't this the game at the reverse fixture where there were loads of goals? Was it Ream was mistake after mistake?
Yeah, I mean Fulham, I think fancied their chances of, it was one of them where at the time everybody was sort of saying, oh, this is where Fulham come good. And now, of course, they're relegated. Yeah.
But they have come good now. Relegated. So will the pointless revival continue, Mark?
I'd probably rather back them than Cardiff. I mean, obviously, it looks like an artificial Cardiff price, really, because they need the points. But I was looking at Seri at 25-1 to score first. I just noticed in last week's game against Bournemouth, they played Anguissa and Chambers, two defensive-minded players in midfield, and he was the one that was sort of asked to get forward out of that free. I mean, he's obviously been one of the big disappointments. You know, I was expecting a lot more from him.
I saw him first game of the season. I thought, this guy's decent. I think he could be the real spark for this.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that the dressing rooms wasn't great, was it? I mean, I think that was pretty clear under the two previous managers. But 25-1 for somebody that's playing in an advanced position looks a little bit big to me.
Okay, and Dan.
Fulham, best Premier League bet of the weekend, Fulham to win. Their revival, I was at the game they lost 4-1 at Watford. They actually played really well in that game. Scoreline doesn't always tell a whole story of a match. They kind of collapsed for 10 minutes and conceded 3 goals, but they played really, really well at Watford. You could see they were working for Parker, and there's always been talent in the side. And so I wasn't that surprised, actually, after that they went and played well, beat Everton, won at Bournemouth. Neither of them results were fluky. They deserved those 2 wins. I think they'll win here as well. They've got a few players there that are just playing almost for next season for their moves. You've got Barbel's playing really well. Mitrovic has started playing well again. Seri, as Mark's mentioned, the balance looks better. Fulham all day for me.
Southampton, who are still not mathematically safe, are 5-6 to beat the Cherries. It's 11-4 Bournemouth, and it's 13-5 the draw. Mark, you can go first.
Well, this is my best bet at the Premier
You're
League.
going to go
coupon.
Southampton?
Yeah, I am. I do.
Don't
I mean, obviously didn't play very well at Newcastle, but I saw the local newspaper said that Hasenhüttl, for some reason, swapped his centre-backs over and they played on the opposite sides, and wasn't a great performance. Of course, they got pegged back very late on at Watford. But, I mean, I'm just looking at the two teams since Hasenhüttl came in. They've both played 20 matches. Southampton have got 28 points in those 20 games. Bournemouth have got 18. Their odds against Southampton, and I just think that's too big. And Bournemouth had a load of defensive injuries as well. I mean, you have a look at the team. He had 2 centre-backs playing in the full-back positions against Fulham last week. And I think Southampton are a fair bet here.
Do you ever find that funny, Mark, how people regard centre-backs as centre-backs and not right centre-backs and left centre-backs? I mean, we have a situation with Tompkins and Sacco, and they're absolutely a right centre-back and a left.
Yeah,
it's so underrated, isn't it?
Massively important. There's no doubt about it. I'm just going back to Tottenham. People moan sometimes when Alderweireld gets rested, and they for Spurs. But the reason why Vertonghen plays is because Sanchez is much more comfortable on that right-hand side, I think, and Vertonghen gives your team balance on the left. And I think it is important, that balance.
It really is, absolutely. Dan, what's going to happen down at St Mary's?
I think it's going to be a tight game, actually. I just feel that Southampton are obviously on a better run at the moment. I feel Bournemouth have got slightly better attacking players. You look at the likes of Brooks, Callum Wilson. Danny Ings has gone off the boil a little bit. He was on the bench at Watford. I mean, Shane Long closed down, got his goal. I went to the game at Watford. I mean, I suppose they played well first half. Southampton kind of went into the shell a little bit second half, and it's probably a fair result against the Watford team without Deeney. They weren't really themselves, Watford, but I just think Bournemouth are hard to judge at the moment. The Fulham game, I think Fulham are improving. They won 5-0 at Brighton the game before. Up and down Bournemouth, but I think they might nick a draw here.
You're going to go for the draw. What are you going for, Sam?
I'm going for Southampton, same as Mark. Just 2 wins in 11 for Bournemouth. They were both against Brighton and Huddersfield as well. Their form seems to have gone off a cliff a little bit. It's unusual for an Eddie Howe side. I think anything odds against for Southampton I would be backing. They were 10-11 this morning. They've now come into 5-6, but I have seen evens and slightly bigger out there. So if I was to get odds against, I would certainly be on Southampton here.
It's a bloody difficult 3 p.m. coupon because you've got Watford v Wolves as well. Watford 6-4, Wolves 15-8. It's 11-5 the draw. Repeat of the FA Cup semi-final, which was extremely dramatic. Will this be dramatic, Dan, and who will win?
I think it's going to be another tight game. I'll be looking at the draw here. I think.
How many more tips you doing? I'm going to do your Paul's coupon.
I just think Wolves, the way the results have gone in the week, obviously a very, very good performance against Arsenal after a couple of, their form kind of went a bit, didn't it? After the semi-final, you had the draw against Brighton, had a defeat in there as well. I'm trying to.
Was that Huddersfield?
Yeah.
No, Southampton.
No, Southampton. Lost at Southampton, drew against Brighton. Then they had a very good performance in the week, but it does put them in. They're ahead of Watford now by a point. I mean, there's other teams involved as well that could get there. Leicester and Everton, but they got tough.
If you finish 7th, do you get a Europa League spot here?
Unless Watford win the cup, if you're not Watford, yeah.
So you do.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
I don't want to ruin your day out at Wembley, but yeah.
But I think Watford are looking at it that way as well, and they're in. Obviously I watch their home games. Their intensity hasn't dropped. They're not. A lot of people said, once they got to the cup final, will the performances change? No, they're still playing with intensity. I just think the balance of the side, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, without Deeney suspended, it doesn't work so well with Delafeu and Gray up top. So I think Wolves will find it easier to defend, but Wolves are going to be well aware that unless Everton and Leicester have some big wins against big teams, a draw will be a good result for them. So I'm going to go for a draw.
You're going for the draw. Sam, what are you going to go for, mate?
I'm just going for goals in this one. Both teams score at 185. It seems a little bit big for me. Wolves only have 2 points in their last 5 away from home, so their away form has been poor enough. But I wouldn't be fond of backing Watford in this one. 8 of Watford's last 9 both teams have scored, and 6 of Wolves' last 8. So I think that's where the value is in both teams to score.
That sounds decent, Mark.
The draw, there's not much between these two teams, which I mean could probably point to a bet on Watford, but they're not at full strength. And
is Deeney still out?
Yeah, he's still suspended. Still suspended. I also think there's a bit of bad blood. The Jimenez's celebration didn't go down.
I was going to look at a booking.
Well, Deeney's sort of having a pop at Jimenez then didn't go down very well. There was talk of a couple of scuffles at Wembley as well, involving some supporters. So I think it might be a little bit tasty. I definitely think from Wolves' point of view, they'll be bang up for this game. So I think it's going to be a draw.
Okay. The live tea time game on Saturday is at 5:30. It's at the Amex and it's Brighton versus Newcastle. It's a crucial game for Brighton, although obviously if Fulham beat Cardiff earlier in the day, less so. But Brighton, who cannot score for love nor money at the moment, are just about fabs here, aren't they, I think, Sam?
They are. They're 13-10 Brighton. The draw's a 2-1 and Newcastle 23-10.
Dan, what do you think will happen?
I said Fulham were the best bet of the week. I'd say that, not far behind in terms of value will be Newcastle here to win at Brighton. I mean, a lot of that built into the prices, need to win factors. I mean, the Premier League...
They've needed to win for quite a while now,
for a long time. And Newcastle... we remembered last season when they got safe. Actually, they still really sprinted to the finish line, didn't they? And did a good job towards the end of the season. Had a great run. Finished off with a win against Chelsea, didn't they? And Rafa, I think he's going to be still looking to raise his stock as much as he can before the end of the season. Even if he doesn't get the money out of Ashley, doesn't seem to be happening. He's going to want to put himself in a position to get a big job in the summer. So, and the players, I think, will keep playing for him. They're a better team than Brighton. And they're a good away side as well, been good away for a lot of the season. So Newcastle look overpriced to me. I
said in my column today that Rafa should be the Man U manager, Dan. Would you?
Yeah, I will.
I would. Man U fan?
If I was a Man U fan, I think that would be obviously they're not going to like the Liverpool connection, but forget it. Solskjaer, they've gone for the emotive choice there. He's not up to the job of that size for me. Benitez will be a great choice. Yeah.
What would you do, Mark, if you were Ed Woodward? Would you give Solskjaer the summer and see what he can do? You would.
I mean, I absolutely would.
Because you're nice.
He's a Spurs fan.
Well, hands off Mopo. No, I think having appointed Solskjaer, you then have to allow him to sort of weed out who he doesn't want in the dressing room. Because I mean,
it's some list that, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, not going to be easy. But I think one of the problems Manchester United have got is they've got too many players, and that not good for squad happiness and harmony and stuff like that. So I mean, Rafa would be a very good choice, but I mean, the Liverpool connection. I mean, I've always said he'd be great for Everton, but again, it's just
that's not going to happen.
It's just not going to happen. I mean, I
think he should be allowed to manage Man U. I mean, I think enough times.
I mean, in sort of like Italy, for instance, like these managers float around and sort of take all of the big jobs. Doesn't seem to happen so much in England, but I think that Rafa can enhance these.
For Harry with Portsmouth.
yeah, maybe, yeah. I mean, but I think Newcastle, a little bit big here. I mean, I'd probably go on the draw no bet side of things because a draw could be a great result for Brighton depending on what happens with Cardiff. But you can't really back Brighton. They haven't scored in their last 7 matches. I think it's 8 shots on target in those 7 games. They've completely lost their attack. And they'll be pretty demoralised, I would have thought, having put so much into the game on Tuesday against Tottenham and losing it so late. But, I mean, where are their goals coming from?
I think I'd say they're looking at the fixtures. Everybody says this is the game you've got to win. If Cardiff are going to pick up a couple of results, you've got to try and win this game. It's not that easy to switch from. They've been blanket defence for 2 games. I mean, they hardly raised an attack at Wolves. Same against Spurs. It's not easy to then just flick a switch.
I mean, I saw the game against Cardiff when they lost 2-0. They started okay. As soon as Cardiff scored, there was no way back for Brighton, and I think that the first goal absolutely massive in this game. I know it's big in all games. But
Do you know the passing stats in Tottenham? All 11 Tottenham starters completed more passes than any of the Brighton players, and the Brighton player with the most passes was the keeper. So it was unbelievable.
Taking 2 minutes over every goal kick as well, so he was doing his best to slow it down.
Yes, he certainly was. I'm amazed he didn't get booked in that game. Brighton versus Newcastle. What's the bet, Sam?
It has to be a Newcastle win here. There's so much value in that 23-10, I think. Brighton, 13 goals without response now, not scored in 7. And Newcastle, their form is really good. They, especially that away game against Leicester, they really did a job on them, beating informed Southampton comfortably. I think everything points to a Newcastle win here. I think me and the lads in the office can't understand the exchange line here for this game.
Excellent. A very, very strong vote for Newcastle. Let's see who the lads fancy in the 3 live Sunday games next.
Friends, or maybe more. Earn a 20 quid free bet for every friend you refer to Paddy Power, thanks to our Friends with Benefits programme. Log into your Paddy Power account and share your referral link to get started. Terms and conditions apply. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Welcome back to the Racing Post Football Postcast. Bruce Millington, Mark Langdon, Dan Childs and Paddy Power's Sam Kingston. We are looking ahead now to 3 live Premier League games on Sunday, starting at 12 o'clock. Sky Sports, Leicester versus Arsenal. And Sam, how do Paddy Power bet on this?
We have Leicester 13-8, the draw 5-2, Arsenal 6-4.
It's an interesting game, Mark, isn't it? Because, I mean, Arsenal have completely unravelled. They've lost 2 games in a row. And this is always a tough test, this, isn't it?
It is. I mean, Arsenal away from home have been terrible for most of the season. And then they go and win away at Napoli 1-0, and the Watford game was a bit of a joke really. Deeney sent off early, and even then they didn't totally.
They limped over the line, didn't they?
I mean, the way they failed to control the game was really concerning, I think, if you're Arsenal. I mean, because a top 6 team with that amount of time with an extra player should just be able to see it out pretty comfortably. They didn't, and that's why I'm going for there's 5-6, both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. Arsenal joint first in the both teams to score table with 24 this season, but we've seen them away from home, that 1 clean sheet. I mean, to be 3-0 down at Wolves at half-time, and another joke really on Wednesday. I do just wonder if Leicester are on the verge of being overrated. We're in Arsenal 6-4. You have a look at their sort of run of wins. They've won 5 of their last 14 matches, which isn't great anyway. Brighton, Fulham, Huddersfield, Burnley and Bournemouth, all in the bottom 7. So I think they've got a little bit to go to prove that they deserve to be sort of jostling for favouritism in this game. One other player there, you mentioned about PFA Player of the Year, Maddison, a little bit unlucky not to get in, say ahead of Pogba in that playmaker role.
Yeah, I tell you who I like as well for them is Tielemans. I think
he's very
really
good.
Very good. You've
player.
thrown a few darts at Leicester. Both teams score all season on the postcast, and it's
yeah. I mean they're
well for you, hasn't it?
22 times they've landed the both teams to score bet, which is only 2 behind Arsenal and Manchester United. So I mean they are a good one for it. So but you need to boost that price a little bit, which is why I'm going for the over 2.5.
Both and overs. Dan, who do you like?
I like Leicester here. I thought before the Wolves game that the Leicester game would be a tougher game for Arsenal, partly because of the timing of the fixture, because Leicester have had a free week, Arsenal comes at the end of of a Wednesday, then you've got to play Valencia as well, it's closer to the Valencia game. Leicester have still got, they're still in the hunt for this 7th spot as well, so they're going to be looking at it thinking we need to win the game really, rather than just pick up a point. A few of their key players are playing well. Vardy, Maddison you mentioned. I thought Barnes as well come on at West Ham and looked really, really good as well, took his goal well. So I just think Leicester's price, so after that capitulation Arsenal at Wolves, it's not really changed a lot. 7-4 to 13-8. I think that's a decent bet.
And Sam, what's your idea of the best bet here?
Yeah, it seems to be a while since I've seen Arsenal so big against a team outside the top six, and it does pain me to say that I do fancy Leicester here as well. I've gone for, I think Vardy is going to be dangerous here. He's up against a slow Arsenal defence, loves those runs in behind, and they could really trouble Socrates and Koscielny. Vardy's 4-1 for first goal here, and Vardy first on a Leicester win is 5-1, so that would be my bet in this one.
That makes sense. 205 Turf Moor, Burnley versus Man City. Can the Clarets, who've confounded so many people this season, score the ultimate upset and put the the Premier League title advantage back in Liverpool's court? Let's see, what's the latest betting?
We have Burnley 17-1. We've got 15-2 the draw, and Man City 1-8.
Sam, I've got to say 17-1 Burnley. I'm kind of looking at that and thinking, is that a little big? What do you think?
I do actually think it's a bit big. I think 1-8 I'd possibly be laying for Man City. Burnley did get a point against them last season. Burnley have scored 10 in their last 5 games and 8 in their last 5 home games. It could be a little bit of a banana skin. Burnley did beat Tottenham this year as well at Turf Moor, so possibly they could be worth the bet here. Maybe on the double chance at 9-2 could be the bet here.
Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they're too short here, City. I just think that Burnley are the sort of team that you don't want to be playing at this stage. You've had a very busy time, played Spurs twice, then Manchester United, a few injury problems surfacing. Fernandinho went off, didn't he? Gundogan looked like he had a problem at the end of the game, so it may be shape of the side, a little bit of fatigue possibly. And Burnley are like a penalty box team, I call it. You know, between they don't play hardly any football, but they will defend properly, and they do tend to take the chances as well. Threat from set pieces is always there. And that is, I mean, you look at the way United defended against City. If they defended properly, got a couple of blocks in, the two fullbacks, they might still have got a result. Can you imagine Burnley defending like that? You look at them against Chelsea, they throw themselves into everything. They're going to defend better. They don't concede loads of goals. This is where I'm going to come to my bet here. I'm going to go Man City to edge it and under 3.5 goals. Odds against Burnley in the last 15 Premier League games, only twice have they conceded more than 2 goals. You remember one of them was against Crystal Palace. Yep. The other one was at Liverpool, the 4-2. So, I just think City here, they'd just be happy to win this game, get through it any way you like. City, narrow win for me.
Mark, just summarise how Burnley survive and thrive, because I look at them week after week and they're just so unimpressive, but impressive in a weird way.
Earlier on this season, I said, is Ashley Barnes the worst striker in the Premier League? And they are a massive threat from set pieces. I think the 2 centre backs are good. In terms, if one of them went on to play for Liverpool, they probably wouldn't be as good, because I don't think they want to defend on the halfway line. But when they're defending their edge of their box, they don't give up much space. And that's they don't
make mistakes.
They're not,
they just do it all right.
They're not too proud to sort of think, oh well, we've got to go and play football against any of these teams. Even when they're sort of favourites, they don't sort of think above their station, and that they just play to what they're good at. They use the 2 up front almost like a defensive mechanism as well. It seems like quite an attacking formation, but them 2 do so much work in stopping the opposition, at source, and it's great sort of credit to Dyche. Can he manage up? I'm not sure. Like he could have found like the perfect club for him.
Also, Mark, with the situation there, it's like almost like a mini thing with Fergie or Wenger at Arsenal. You become so important, and the club is your absolute realm, isn't it? You boss the whole damn thing.
And if he went to, you sort of say, like a next step up would be like a West Ham or an Everton or Leicester, something like that. I just wonder if he wouldn't be suited to that. And I don't think there's any shame in just saying, this is what I'm good at. These players are good at what they're doing.
What an amazing job he does, though, doesn't he?
He does. I don't think the Europa League was the reason why they started the season poorly, because they've had other similar spells like that throughout this season. I just think it was a coincidence almost that it happened at the Europa League, and as so often happens.
Well, you know what it's like. Everyone's so desperate to put a narrative.
There is.
They've
had these, and they're Burnley. They will have losing runs, but the way they've recovered has been great. And I think Liverpool can sort of rely on Burnley to give City a test. Unfortunately, I think City will win. Just exactly the same bet as Dan. Man City to win and under 3.5 goals. It's 11 straight wins in the Premier League for Man City. But have a look, since that Palace game that they lost 3-2, 17 Premier League games, 12 of those under 3.5, and then they also had the FA Cup 1-0 against Brighton. One of the reasons for that is people think City are terrible at the back. They've conceded 2 goals in the last 10 Premier League matches. I mean, that's not, that's not by luck or accident that happens. They're very difficult to score against, and I'm not sure that Burnley will.
Okay, and the triple header culminates at 4:30 on Sunday. Man United versus Chelsea, 2 of the 4 teams that are vying for the 2 Champions League spots. Apart from Tottenham, the other 3 all seem determined not to qualify, but that's not quite true. They obviously do. They're just not playing very well. So, Man U v Chelsea, match odds, Sam?
United at 8-5, the draw 12-5, and Chelsea 13-8.
It's a tough one, Dan.
I'm edging towards Chelsea here. I think that the timing, you got 2 extra days to prepare. Although mentally it was tough to take, dropping 2 points against Burnley. The fact that they got the ball all the time, they haven't had to physically exert themselves a great deal. United were chasing shadows, especially in the second half of that game against Manchester City. So it's a tough turnaround for them, and I've just not been impressed by the way they're playing United. The Everton game was just a complete joke, really, and then they put effort in for half an hour against City, matched City for effort for half an hour, and then disappeared again, really, for the rest of the game. So I just think Chelsea have got a little bit more quality. Eden Hazard is that bit of quality that United haven't got. I mean, you look at Lukaku against City. You come off the bench, and I just looked at it, and £75 million, and to me, he's as poor as he's been since he's been there. And there's a problem through the club. You look at the big buys there. Martial on the bench came on. Alexis Sanchez, the wages he's on, comes off the bench. They're starting with the 2 guys, Lingard and Rashford, that have come through the academy up front, despite all the money that they've spent. So I just think Chelsea a little bit more quality, and they'll nick a tight game.
Do you agree, Mark?
I mean, I don't disagree, but I'm really struggling to find a worthwhile bet, because you have a look at Chelsea. I mean, away from home against the Big Six, they've been terrible this season. Now, you could say, well, Manchester United, are they even sort of Big Six? But I still think that it's a tough game away at Old Trafford. 3 defeats in their last 28 Premier League games for Manchester United. So you've got to be, you have got to be at it to beat them usually. I was looking at this game under 2.5 goals. There's a history of unders in this fixture, 12 of the last 16. I know there's no Mourinho around anymore, but I think that Solskjaer has been quite defensive in a lot of these matches, particularly the big games. They've not been afraid, even at home, to set up and let the other team, you think back to the Liverpool game, all the Champions League matches. So I think I'd see no reason why he'll change that. And Chelsea, 1 goal away to the Big Six this season, and in their last 7 away matches in the Premier League, they've only scored at Cardiff and Fulham. So I think this is going to be tight. Wouldn't be surprised if 1 goal won it. So under 2.5.
Did you see that amazing stat last night? That was Man U's first home 2-0 league defeat since 1991, when Ryan Giggs made his debut. Absolutely extraordinary. Will there be another 0-2 here, Sam?
I haven't gone for it myself. I would slightly fancy Chelsea, but I've gone for the draw on this one. I think it will be another quick start from United, but a draw does suit Chelsea. So if they go behind, can get themselves back into the game, they would probably settle for that. They play Watford at home in the next one, and then they'd go into the final game in a very strong position if they were to pick up a point at Old Trafford. So the draw 12-5, I think I'd be backing. If you want to add in both teams to score as well, the boost is 3-1. I also like Rashford anytime. He did look the most dangerous against City. He was the only one getting in behind, and he seems to be one of the few that Solskjaer actually trusts. So I'd imagine he'll be playing up top by himself again. And 2-1 here, it seems a decent price for me.
2-1 at any time. Okay, before we get the naps, lads, there's so much happening further down the leagues. There's some really exciting plots to be sorted out in various divisions. Which, apart from your Nat, which teams further down division have you got your eye on at the moment, Mark?
Peterborough at Walsall. Peterborough have been given a big boost by the fact that Donny lost in midweek, so they're back in the playoff hunt. With a chance there to put pressure on Donny. Walsall are all but relegated now, so they would definitely be one.
I think you gave Walsall a good mention at a decent.
Yeah, they were
price
11 to 10 to go down when we sort of had that chat. They've since sacked Keats, but I don't think he was the overriding issue there. I mean, they've got a bottom four budget. They're in the bottom four. It's kind of just life for Walsall. And then in League Two, Northampton are odds against home to Yeovil. Yeovil, absolutely ridiculous. They're in terrible form. They cost me money on Monday against Colchester. Colchester have missed a few chances, and then the Colchester goalkeeper did a De Gea against Barcelona and then compounded it by getting sent off when there was a melee in the net after the ball went in. Got to kick the opposition forward up the backside, got sent off. Colchester still hit the bar and then equalised and were trying to win the game. You look at their shot stats, they're getting battered every week. Northampton are odds against. Last home game, it's probably not a bad bet.
Dan, who's on your radar?
I mentioned two games in the Championship. One of them, Swansea. I know Mark fancies them as well at home to Hull. Hull, since the playoff dream's gone, I think they're a bet of mine actually, away to West Brom. I'd laid West Brom. West Brom got the winner at the end. That kind of finished their playoff hopes off. Then I think they were 3-0 down in the first 25 minutes, home to Sheffield United the game after. So they look like they're on the beach now, Hull. And I just think Swansea have still got a game in hand, still got a mathematical chance of having a bit of a late dart at the playoffs, and they're playing quite well, Swansea. The other one, Birmingham, last home game of the season, responded really well actually since this 9-point deduction, and they're at home to Wigan. Wigan have just been made safe from the last result. I think now, second from last game of the season, they've been poor away most of the campaign anyway. I know they won that.
I tell the Leeds fans that.
Well, yeah, they had the unbelievable win at Leeds, but I'm not sure they'll be putting in such a massive effort in this game. So Birmingham at home for me.
I've got one more, Bruce. Akins, Burton forward to score any time against Luton. Luton have been conceding goals.
Don't say that.
I mean, Luton, probably win. Burton trade a lot of goals. I saw them on Monday. Akins was a real big threat for Burton, and then he moved into the centre forward position when Boyce did his ankle and was stretched off. So I sort of just put a little in my notepad, just put Akins rest of the season.
He's everywhere, doesn't he? He plays wide, full back.
Since he's been moved up front again or into the forward positions, he's been a big threat for Burton. So if Luton are not quite at it, the artificial prices like Luton are odds on to win at Burton, which is probably a little bit short because you're getting like 3-1 Burton. Their forwards are going off at really big prices. Even if they don't win, I think they can probably score, and it'll probably be
Akins. Okay, and Sam, what have you got for us?
I've actually been keeping a close eye on Wimbledon for the last few months. I backed Wally Downs to get that job. It seemed to just make a lot of sense at the time. So I've been keeping an eye on them, and they have come out of, they were bottom by a long way, and they're now a point off getting out of the relegation zone. They're at home to Wycombe this weekend. I think that's a decent bet at 7-5 there. A win would all but secure their safety, so I've gone for that. And I've also been keeping an eye on Pompey recently as well. They're away to Sunderland this weekend, which is a huge game in League One. 5 wins on the bounce for Portsmouth. They could possibly go automatically up after looking like they'd certainly be in the playoffs. So another win there possibly. They're at 11-5, I believe. 11-5, yeah.
Well done, chaps. Your lower league knowledge continues to astound me. Let's get the naps.
This will not be beaten.
Okay, I'm going to go first, echoing what you said earlier. Newcastle, I'm going to take the cowards route though and go double chance at 8-13. I think they will definitely not be leaving Brighton for that long journey north without either 1 or 3 points. Mark?
Swansea to beat Hull. Swansea won 5 of their last 6. One of the games I backed them was when they got hammered at QPR. Just a really weird, sometimes you just get weird results in football, but they've won 7 of their 8 home games in 2019. You have a look at Hull, lost 7 of their last last 8 away matches. The exception was at Ipswich. Swansea are still in the playoff hunt as well, and they've got Derby next week, so they'll be looking at it that they can take 3 points off them, and what a job Graham Potter's done, whatever happens between now and the end of the season. Just a shade of odds on looks fair enough to me.
What's this winger of theirs like, James?
Dan James, yeah. I mean, he's so quick and he's so talented. I mean, Leeds nearly got him for like, was it 10 million? They were arguing over over the finer details. He'll probably go big 6 now, or maybe.
Could he come to us if Wilf goes?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a more sensible move, personally, because I always, you sort of take the Maddison route, get yourself to a middling Premier League team, show your quality, and then you can move on, if all well and good. I mean, he'd be a great replacement for Wilf, yeah.
Brilliant. Dan, what's your nap?
I'm going to go League One, Peterborough away to Walsall. The odds are comfortably odds against the price. It's a great bet. Walsall look real trouble now and on a terrible run for a long time. 4 points from safety with 2 games to go, so likely to go, I think, this weekend. Peterborough now in a head-to-head battle with Doncaster. Doncaster lost at home to Accrington, surprise loss in midweek. Now Peterborough only 3 points behind them with a game in hand. I think Donny have got quite a bit better goal difference, but certainly Peterborough got a fighting chance, and I think they'll win at Walsall.
And Sam, what's your nap?
I've actually had a look at a few of them as well. Peterborough and Newcastle were 2 I liked as well. But I went for Accrington in the end to beat Plymouth. Plymouth have been sucked into a relegation battle with 4 defeats on the spin. Accrington had a good win last weekend against Doncaster, and a win would confirm their safety. It is their last home game of the season as well, so they'd want to finish on a high. At 13-10, I think that looks quite big, so Accrington for me.
Okay, Sam, so we've got Newcastle double chance, we've got Swansea, we've got Peterborough, and we've got Accrington. Are you going to be able to do some nice boosting there for us, Sam?
We will, yeah. We'll be enhancing that on site, so the fourfold will be down as that this will not be beaten special on site.
Lovely. So if people go on to paddypower.com, go on to football, they'll find it under specials, will they?
Exactly, yeah. Once you click specials, it will come up straight away there.
Top man. Now then, we cannot possibly end without having a really good look at these sensational Champions League semi-finals. I'm so excited about the Champions League. I just think it's absolutely superb. And what you've got here is 4 teams. Any combination of these would make a great final. I know obviously Dan and Mark are Spurs fans, so they want it to be Tottenham, but for a neutral like me or for you, Sam...
You're not really neutral, are you, Bruce, with your back and Ajax?
Yeah, a neutral like me who's backed Ajax at 100-1, or a neutral like Sam who doesn't want Tottenham to go through. It's going to be amazing. Just quickly, Sam, before we look at the semis in isolation, what's the latest from Paddy Power on who's going to win the Champions League?
So to win the Champions League, we have the winner Barcelona at 6-4, Liverpool 5-2, Ajax and Spurs both 4-1.
This is going to be fantastic. Tuesday, 8 p.m. at Tottenham's new ground. Tottenham versus Ajax. How do Paddy Power bet?
We have Spurs 13-10, the draw 23-10, and Ajax 2-1.
Now, boys, if you haven't got enough on your plate trying to give neutral, unbiased assessments on a match where you're so emotionally involved, it's also an international they played for both clubs special. Okay,
this is quite good.
Okay, well, listen, before we do that, Mark, you give us your match verdict.
I think that I'm completely unemotionally saying that I think Tottenham are too big here. If you have they're about 8-11 draw no bet. I mean, it's a Champions League semi-final. I would want to be on the home team for starters. I know Son's not available, and obviously that is a blow.
Is Lloris out as well? Did I hear?
No. He's fine. It's Sissoko's the one that there's a big question mark over. But I mean, Tottenham are about more than individual players, as they keep on showing. Every time another one goes down, they say, "Oh, that's the end of them." I mean, Tottenham were about 2-5 to beat PSV at Wembley. Now, Ajax are in a big title race with PSV. I accept that Ajax are a better team, but I can't accept that you go from being 2-5 to beat a team of a similar-ish ability to suddenly being 13-10. That doesn't make much sense to me. They were odds on Tottenham to win in Eindhoven as well. I mean, Ajax have lost away to PSV. They conceded 6 at Feyenoord. They also lost to the AZ Alkmaar in 4th and Heracles, who are in 6th, away from home. Now, yes, they've been brilliant in the Champions League. Ramos was missing for Real Madrid. Chiellini was missing for Juventus. I think it's fallen quite nicely for them in that they've been able to win those games, but they've had to do it in high-scoring battles, whereas Tottenham have kept 3 clean sheets against Dortmund and against Manchester City. That 1-0 win against Manchester City is better than anything Ajax, I think, can put up, because Man City are the best team in Europe. and I'm a little. I didn't have much of a strong opinion on the game when the prices first came out. There's been a move towards Ajax, and I think it's gone a little bit too far. I mean, look at the outright market; they're both 4-1. Ajax were 250-1 at the start of the competition. I know they're better than that. I'm just not sure they should be favourites to win this Champions League semi-final, which is what they are.
Fair enough. Dan, do you think there's a case that Ajax maybe have been slightly underestimated by the likes of Real Madrid and Juve?
Yes, possibly, yeah. But they're certainly not being underestimated by the market anymore. That's where I would agree with Mark. I just think, you're really basing it. Your sample there for the reason their price has changed so much is two ties. And he's already mentioned the key players that were missing for the clubs that were against them. Also, the way the ties fell. They played home leg first, drew on both occasions. Then it was a little bit of a nothing to lose scenario. Then going away from home, they conceded an away goal at home, so they needed to win the game away from home. So it's a different dynamic here going away. If they go away, even if they lose by the odd goal, they're not going to be. If they're 2-1 down at Spurs, are they going to be bombing forward trying to equalise in the closing stage? And I'm not so sure. They might even think this is an okay result here. So. And Spurs, going into a new stadium as well, is a big difference. But what price would Spurs have been at Wembley? If they were still at Wembley playing at home to Ajax,
well, let's ask Sam.
Saying they should surely be a lot bigger. Still.
Would you be shorter Tottenham here than you would have been at Wembley, Sam?
I'd imagine so. Yeah, I'd say
a tick
they would
or
have been
two,
slightly bigger. Yeah, maybe as big as 6-4 if they're in Wembley.
And even that, I think the difference between Spurs, as we've seen, from playing at Wembley to playing in a new stadium. Look at the way they played against Manchester City. Kane going off injured, still played with that intensity. I know City had a bit of a questionable selection on the night with De Bruyne, not starting the game, Bernardo Silva. But still, it was a very good Spurs performance. I think if they play with that intensity, as Mark's mentioned, the togetherness, they play. Pochettino has this system and a belief there in that it's a team, not about individual players. And I do think they're a little bit overpriced here, and I think I'll go for Spurs to win.
Blimey, you two should do the team talk. Sam, what do you think?
Did you not see Poch's post-match at the Etihad?
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
That was good, wasn't it? Sam, what do you make of this one?
It's very interesting. The prices across the industry are quite interesting. We have Ajax at 9-10 and Spurs 20-23 to qualify. So very slight on Spurs favourites, but you can get Ajax as short as 4-6 in places and Spurs 11-10, which I find remarkable. I do think that is far too big on Spurs 11-10, but it's so difficult to call, and that's why our prices do show how difficult it is to call. For me, I would just be backing the goals here. Personally, I'd slightly fancy Ajax, but that might be hard overhead. I would just be backing the goals. Both teams have scored 9 in 9 of their last 10 games. They've both scored in every knockout game this season, and with over 2.5 goals at 175 here, or 3-4, I think that would be my bet here anyway.
Okay, I'm definitely hedging after hearing Mark and Dan with their little impassioned pleas for why Tottenham win. Right then, they played for both clubs. Away you go.
At Van der Vaart, Mido,
yeah.
The obvious ones: Christian Eriksen, Toby Alderweireld,
Sanchez.
Sanchez also.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
Eriksen. We said Eriksen.
Eriksen, yeah. I said Eriksen. Yeah.
Who's the guy who played for Everton as well? The little midfielder. Stephen Pienaar.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah. Played for my ex, didn't he?
I think he did play for Ajax. Which Dutch team did Johnny Method?
Oh, blimey.
I don't know
Johnny
which one.
Method.
No, I don't think
was
it was
finals,
Ajax.
was it?
Yeah,
maybe.
It was finals,
Edgar Davids.
Edgar Davids, of course,
Yeah, it's nice.
There's a few, isn't there? They're good ones as well, aren't they? They're all good ones.
Yeah, it's a friendly rivalry for now.
Okay, well, they played for both clubs in Barcelona and Liverpool, obviously Coutinho and Sanchez, and Barcelona will be hosting Liverpool at 8 p.m. on Wednesday in another epic encounter, for which Paddy Power bet as follows, Sam.
Barcelona 8-11 at home, the draw 3-1, and Liverpool 10-3 away.
Sam, you can go first here.
I wouldn't be backing Barcelona at 8-11, I don't think. I'm actually going for the unders here, just given the game that it is, a first leg in a semi-final. Liverpool have had a 0-0 as of Barcelona in the first leg of the knockouts this season, both in the last 16. So I think Liverpool might approach it a little bit more cautiously than usual. 4 of Barca's last 6 have had under 2.5 and 3 of Liverpool's last 5. So I'm not sure the goals will be flowing in this one as much as they will in the Tottenham Ajax one. So I'd be back in under 2.5 possibly a small bet on the 0-0 14-1 as well.
Blimey, that wasn't what I was expecting, but I suppose when you put the actual stats up against your kind of impression of both teams, it does make sense. Dan, what do you think?
I think Liverpool are overpriced here. I wouldn't be totally against even having a pot shot on them to win the game, but I'll take it and play it a bit safer and go Liverpool or draw double chance. I just think, look at the two leagues. It all depends where you see La Liga and the Premier League at the moment. I would say, Manchester City have been favourites to win the Champions League slightly for most of the competition, and Liverpool, 1 point off them in the title race. They got 88 points in 35 Premier League games. Barca got 80 in 34 La Liga games. And if you think the Premier League, which I think is at the moment is a slightly stronger, tougher league, I think you have to question the prices that Liverpool should be outsiders. I also think just the setup of the game, the size of the pitch, I think it will suit Liverpool. If Barcelona, like to press teams, always the fans will demand that they play attacking football at home. I think Liverpool's counter-attacking threat on that pitch is going to be massive. It wouldn't surprise me if they even won the game. So I'd go, Liverpool draw double chance.
Mark, before you give us your verdict, Sam, can you get me a price on Mane to score the first goal? We'll take that after Mark's told us what's going to happen.
I think that Liverpool to qualify is the best bet here. I wouldn't be surprised if this finished, say, sort of score-draw, and then obviously Liverpool are in a great position. You couldn't ask for a better defender than sort of Van Dijk to contain Lionel Messi. I think that Luis Suarez, he's got a terrible record in the Champions League. I'm just not sure now if he's at his absolute peak. I think he is slowly. You don't want to write off somebody that's been a world-class forward, but I certainly think that his best days are gone. He's somebody that sort of plays such energy that when you take away a little bit, it actually becomes a lot. And I think Liverpool's pace, those front three, but the cleverness of Firmino to take up good positions, the fact that they can probably match them for energy in midfield to stop Barcelona's passing. I think that Liverpool are overpriced to qualify, because even if they lose the game 2-1, I'd fancy them at Anfield to be able to overturn it. You have a look at Van Dijk's sort of stats. I don't think anybody's dribbled past him this season. Messi, if anyone can, Lionel Messi can, but it just
Messi would be like, right, hold my pipe.
yeah. But I think that there's not much between these two teams, and that the price is Liverpool as the outsiders to qualify looks the bet to me.
Mane?
We haven't fully finished pricing up the market, but it's going to be coming in roughly 8-1 or 17-2.
That'll do for me. Okay, chaps, that was fantastic. What an amazing few days of football we've got coming up. Really looking forward to it. If you enjoy these shows, please don't forget you can rate, review and subscribe wherever you're listening. And we're also on Spotify if that's your thing. What have we got next? I'm back tomorrow with Paul Keeley and various others looking ahead to the final day of the jump season at Sandown. Maddie will be back on Monday reviewing it. And then we've got golf on Wednesday, and we're back here next Thursday for another Racing Post Football Postcast.
Everything is better when it's bigger. Paddy Power's Same Game Multi allows you to combine a number of selections from a single match into one big bet. Check out the Same Game Multi tab and get building your bet. Terms and conditions apply. 18+, BeGambleAware.org.